What's up, e-bike fans? In this video, I'm going to be going over some of the details of a call that I got from Levi from Lectric XP a few weeks ago, and it's really exciting stuff that we got to discuss, and I just thought this is a great time for me to go ahead and share it. So let's get started. Hey everybody, so about 3 weeks ago, I got a really awesome event that happened in my life, and well, for me anyway. Levi from Lectric Ebikes gave me a call, and we got a chance to go ahead and really just talk about e-bikes, talk about the industry. I got a chance to ask him questions about the Lectric 2.0 and the launch of it, and it was just a really cool conversation. I mean, doing this YouTube channel, from all the support, all the feedback, all of you guys encouraging words, it has really been able to get a little more exposure to myself and to the channel, so that I can talk to people who are influencers and industry changers like Levi from Lectric Ebikes. I would like to just say that it was just pretty awesome to go ahead and really talk to somebody who is an entrepreneur, and that's one of the main things. It's been like I said, about 3 weeks since I actually had the call, maybe even a little longer. And I've been kind of wondering how I wanted to make this video. So first of all, when I had the call with him, I was scrambling and taking notes of all the stuff that he was talking, and I took the highlights of that. Some of the highlights of the notes that I did put down there, you can actually see a lot of it on the website, on the company page, their story, you know, how they really got started. Of course, he expanded more because it was a conversation. It was kind of more free-flowing. So that was really cool as well. So here's some of the things I want to talk about. The Lectric Ebike Company, but also what's going on and why their success has been so huge. I mean, obviously they have some of the best priced bikes out there, but there's more to it than that. For me, my passions are all about businesses also as well. So, you know, it kind of incorporated too. I love e-bikes, and I love the whole entrepreneur spirit, and it's what makes America move, you know, small business, and how fast they've grown. So for those of you who don't know, they started the company back in May of 2019. So they've just gotten past their 2-year mark. And in that 2 years, they celebrated selling 75,000 bikes. I mean, think about that's 37,000 bikes a year. It's crazy. So they, you know, I mean, their growth has been phenomenal. For them to actually have that supply chain, even before, you know, the illness came out and everybody went into lockdown and the bikes really took off, they were just doing a great job just building up their passions and putting this out there. So they started with a mission, and this is what I was really wanting to know about, you know, what was their goal. And, you know, he told me that one of the mission that they had put in place was to be the greatest urban solution ever. And every decision that they made came out of that mission statement. They were just going to go ahead and put something out there. Their goal through this mission was to get as many people on the Lectric XPs as possible. And by doing that, they felt as though they need to make a bike that was really affordable, extremely reliable, and they could support it with great customer service. So some of the reasons why they only have, before actually the 2.0 came out, they only had the two models, the step through and the regular one. Even the step through came out later, was because they wanted to perfect a bike, and, you know, to keep the cost down, and that's what they started out with. And that's just fantastic. You know, I mean, expanding models is always a great way to grow, so you can hit more of a market. But to build something that was just so perfect to their mission, and to hit the widest range of demographic, that was just a great, to me, just ingenious of how they got that thing started out there and put it out there. Like I'm a big fan of almost all e-bike companies out there that are putting out great products, great customer service, and at great prices. So to have a bike that actually is more versatile in sizing, plus it's foldable, it's compact, reliable, and I mean, hit all of that, but more so the price point. To get it to a price that they were selling it for $899, it's crazy, and it's just brilliant. And, you know, if you think about it in a business perspective, how do you get a price of a bike that low? You're going to have to go in and make sure that you do your research. And if you want reliability, to really work with companies to do the negotiations. It's so exciting to see a company like this do what they did to make what they made out there. So yes, I'm a big fan. I mean, sometimes overly, I get it. But look, I'm not getting paid, or this is not a promotion that any type of a kickback of any type of sort for this. When I first started the YouTube channel, I asked if I could get a code that when I talked about their bikes, if I could, offer like some of the pannier bag, you get a free bag with a code, just so that I could find out if the people were actually buying bikes. But the comments that I was getting, I do know that I do influence some people in making their purchases, and I'm glad for that, because I totally, truly, I bought the bike with my own cash, and I enjoy it. And like I said, there's no promotional kickback of any sort for doing this, except for the fact that someone called me, and that was just really nice. That's pretty cool. So with that, let's get back on with their story. With Levi and Robbie, going on their own ways. If you don't know Levi, if you haven't read their website, he does actually have a bachelor's and a master's degree, and it's in business and entrepreneurship, which kind of makes sense. And then of course his business partner Robbie, who has his degree in mechanical engineering. So you have these two guys that actually have pretty much well-rounded knowledge of building something that's mechanical, and making sure that it's going to work right. And then of course the guy who has the business sense, together coming together to make a company like Lectric. It's just brilliant. And I'm sorry, but I don't know how their dad fits in on it, other than any extra added help with someone you can trust in a business is always going to be helpful along that way too. I'm sure there was just a lot of support that he was able to go ahead and give on that. It's just, when I'm looking at the website, there's nothing really that talks about it. And unfortunately I didn't ask him about how he played a role in this, but he's obviously maybe just doesn't want any of the limelight, and he kept it up with Robbie and Levi together. But when you have all three mentioned on this is a company that was built with blood, sweat, and tears, obviously. So the three of them together making this company the way it is pretty darn awesome, in my opinion. So the other thing is, I will be getting to other parts of the segment that I was asking him about regarding the bike, because I have one, and I want to know, like, why didn't they put an 11-tooth gearing on that? And so I'll be getting to that as well. Let me just go ahead a little bit more into the story of them and where they're at right now. So they wanted to build this affordable bike, make it reliable, and then they became one of the largest e-bike sellers in the United States. In fact, they were the fastest growing at one point from what they had accomplished and getting out there, and a lot of it was actually being advertised through word of mouth. That's where they began, before they had a marketing budget. They were just doing it basically grassroots style of people spreading the word. That's how I heard about Lectric. I called a friend who I heard he had an electric e-bikes. In fact, he had two. I had mentioned it before. My friend Kyle he bought an Lectric XP, and he bought an Aventon Cinch at the same time. Two foldable fat tire 20 by 4 inch bikes. And, he gave me the rundown of it. One was an affordable $899 that had great reviews. And then the other one was a little more higher end parts that he wanted. And he and his wife were going to ride together, but she didn't want to spend so much. So their budget allowed them to get both bikes. And he said they're both awesome bikes. So I looked at my budget, and that's where I ended up. I said, let's see what I'm going to end up getting. Did my research and ended up with Lectric as well, all because of the word of mouth that came off of there. And then doing research on YouTube videos that I started to find out there. Now, they did a great job getting influencers to talk about their bikes as well. So that's pretty cool as well. I mean, what you're going to come out with products using what's available with social media out there, because you put one video out and it just keeps on growing on YouTube. It's just great. This is one thing that's really cool about this company. If you look at a lot of e-bike companies that are out there, you'll notice that many of them have actually taken down their phone numbers. So with their commitment to support, they have decided that they would not take down a customer support phone number on their website. And if, like I said, a lot of other companies won't do that. They won't put up a phone number because they just get inundated with calls. So what they've decided to do to make sure that they're ahead of the industry in customer service as well is not only do they have a phone support, but they have staffing behind that as well. So you can actually call them. And I did. I actually called them, I think, a couple of times earlier when I was waiting on my bike, asking some questions about it. Also by email and using their website. Every time I've actually reached out to them, I've gotten a response within 24 to 48 hours, which is industry standard, 24 to 40 hours response time. Sometimes even faster, within a few hours I've gotten responses. And my questions have all been answered very thoroughly, with not a lot of dodging here and there, even regarding when my shipment was coming out. I know a lot of people, one of the reasons I wanted to get this video out is because I also did clarify Levi had called kind of after I put out the launch 2.0 video that I had made an announcement on, and I wanted to clarify or to make sure that I got some of the information right. So one thing I had said was in that video was they might be actually printing out the FedEx labels. And the reason why people are waiting so long after they get confirmation that a label has been printed is because they might still be waiting for the shipments to come in with the label sitting, just kind of workflow, get everything all ready to go. Well, then a better explanation was given actually really what was going on with them. For those of you who don't know or realize this, but there was about 10,000 1.0s in queue ready to be brought in and shipped out. Orders that are actually in play. And 10,000 of those customers waiting actually upgraded to the 2.0. So they had that kind of prepared and ready to go. But when I had talked to them 3 weeks ago, they said they were actually prepping to ship out about 5,000 bikes in the next 10 days. And from the launch date that they were, had it on the website on that. And one of the big logistical issues that they were having with delivery was that FedEx just didn't have the capacity to handle sending these bikes out. I mean, if you can imagine FedEx coming in, they have to go in and pick up all these bikes and send it all out. And, they're not small. So you're having all of these big shipments that have to be picked up, and they're waiting for FedEx trucks to come and get 5,000 of these. That's a lot of bikes, and that's a lot of space. I can't imagine these big boxes, 5,000 of them that have to be prepped, shipped, tracked, and then picked up by FedEx, and then they're just not having the capacity to go in and do that. A lot of the delays is actually not necessarily them prepping them for you. It's actually getting it picked up by FedEx. Trailers are an issue. Right now, there's still a huge container problem, throughout the United States. There's actually a trucking driver shortage as well. So we're having all of these other, supply chain issues that are going on. And, I'm not here to go ahead and defend Lectric XP. This is just what I've been noticing in the industry as a whole. There's delays everywhere, from ships to ports to today I read an article that Home Depot is actually chartering. They actually chartered and just reserved a whole container ship for themselves to go back and forth between here and Asia to make sure that they're getting their products and they're not actually having to share the ship with anybody else, because there's actually bigger fish out there that actually will bump and pay to make sure they reserve a ship more than others. So Home Depot just said, I'm chartering a whole ship. And that's how big this industry supply chain issue is a problem right now with things coming out of China. And my last video about China shutting down, 25% of U.S. goods coming from China comes from that port that was actually shut down or having shut down issues because of their third wave of COVID hitting. So this is a big issue that's going on. And like I said, it's not to go ahead and defend them or anything else, but I just wanted to go ahead and share what I heard, because to understand 5,000 bikes being shipped out in 10 days back then, and more coming in and more logistics that have to be taken care of in that way. The latest I've seen in the comments is that someone ordered their bike today and they were told 7 weeks. To be honest, that's not bad. If you're getting your bike in 7 weeks, that's pretty good actually. If you're getting an electric with the amount of volume that those guys are actually handling right now, they are anticipating to have even a bigger demand this year. Of course, in July, they are actually getting a bigger warehouse to accommodate all the growth that's coming in. So they're also going to be in this moving standard. And keep in mind also, they've been ordering these parts from way back when. It was funny because he told me a story that I asked him, when did they start building the Lectric XP 2.0s? Like, was it back in June and they started to try to get their parts? Like, how are they actually getting all the supplies that they're needing with all the shortages that were going on? And he had mentioned that they actually started and they were in China at the factories back in January of 2020, in which, the light bulb went off because that's when the pandemic started to hit China. And he said that he had heard that. Just before they were about to leave, people were asking him, how's China? Are they going through lockdown? They had no idea what was going on. And then when they got back here, all the shutdowns began happening. So your bikes, for those of you who got 2.0s, they were over a year in the making. Right now it's June, so it's a year and a half in the making. And one of the reasons why, again, I asked them, with the 2.0, with what they've been hearing, why didn't they ever go with an 11-tooth gearing so that, you don't get that air pedaling that's going on there? And, they wanted to upgrade that part, but they couldn't find a factory that they knew could supply all the bikes with that. They wanted to make sure they wanted to go with a quality factory, and that factory could only supply about 40% of the demand that they had anticipated. So they couldn't do it. They had to go ahead and stick with the 14 tooth that they had on there. So that's why those of you that are in high gear wondering why you have to pedal so much faster to try to keep up with the bike and it's not capable, they really wanted to do that. And even the forks, they knew that the forks wanted to be high quality forks. So they actually ended up with making sure that they could find factories that could accommodate the oil-filled shocks that are coming with the 2.0s. So they're not cheapy, springy forks. And in order to make sure that they get the supply that they needed at the prices they needed to make sure they can keep the prices where they're at, that's what they were able, and they got able to end up getting that quality oil-filled shocks that they're getting on the 2.0 now, which is pretty cool. I mean, if you think about it all in all. Why hasn't there been any modifications on the frame? And that I didn't really have to ask, because if you want to make sure that you can get these bikes produced, the less modifications you do to the main parts, the better. I mean, even painting, I thought was a little risky. I mean, they didn't do too much difference on the painting of the 2.0. I know that they said they had an upgraded look on it, but the fact is, if you change or add more colors, that does hold up supply for a lot of other people. It just holds up manufacturing. So to make sure they're getting these bikes out as fast as possible, that's what they have decided on getting out there. And, you know, some people are asking, why didn't they do this extra? Why didn't they do that? The thing is, the price of the bike is still at $999. And with the tariffs that had been lifted, or the exceptions that have been lifted, so now, you know, all e-bike shipments that are coming in have that extra 15% that was put on there as well. They were still able to keep their prices down because of just the, you know, if you think about it, the smart business, able to negotiate with the factories to keep the prices to where they're at. And it's just an awesome job. So that's pretty much where I wanted to go in and talk about, you know, the Lectric XP company. For those of you that are considering ordering it, I'd still say get it now. There are supply chain issues that are still happening. And for those of you who have 1.0 and 2.0 bikes, and if you haven't seen my channel before, if you go to ebikeproducts.com, we are selling actually suspension posts that are guaranteed to fit the Lectric 1.0 and 2.0. So if you're getting a 2.0 and you now have front suspension and you want rear suspension feeling on the backside, we have seat posts that are available at the website, $29.95 at the time of this recording. That's the price. It includes shipping, it includes tax, it includes also, which I don't think anybody else is doing this, but we include actually the Allen wrench, because I know that some people have had, in order to go ahead and get your seat installed, we include one of these so you don't have to get it. Not everybody has these in their toolboxes. And I also include a lobster claw keychain inside as well, because I found one of the really inexpensive but very useful accessory is to put this on your key, because for those of you who don't know, when you ride the Lectric XP, you need to have your key hanging from the bottom, and you don't want to have all your other keys or anything else hanging from it, and you may not want to have it where it's easily lost. So something like this, or even I'm big on carabiners as well, but anything that I can clip. So I just take my key, clip it on my regular keychain. When I'm ready to ride, I can unclip it, stick it on the bottom bike, and I don't have to worry about anything else being lost, and it just stays out of the way. It's super convenient what it is. Or if you have a place that you can hook it on your bike, so you know where it's secured, then you can also just leave your key with the bike in that area. So anyway, I just want to thank all of you guys again for your support, for all of your comments. If you like this type of information or news, or you want to hear more or have more questions that maybe I get another chance to interview either Levi, Robbie, or his dad to go ahead and talk more about e-bikes, put it in the comments below, and I'll make a list and see if I can get more questions answered or asked on that. They have been doing a great job with logistics, honestly, compared to other companies that have 2 years out waiting now for parts. So that's another thing that's been out there, is that if you're going to see 7 weeks, one, in my opinion, totally worth the wait. These electric bikes are awesome. If you have never ridden one, they're just great, reliable bikes that will just, once you get on the bike, you pretty much forget all about your worries, or how long, or maybe even your frustrations about 7 weeks. You know, I mean, it's kind of silly, but 7 weeks is nothing. I waited 9 months for my Blackbird to come in. I was lucky. I ordered a step through just, I guess, when they had a shipment come in. So it only took me about 3 to 4 weeks when there wasn't a huge lot of delays for my electric to come in. And it was so worth the wait. So again, thank you guys all so much. Thank you for support. Don't forget to like, to subscribe, and to comment. And I will see you guys in the next video.